We are making contracts for the citizens of Dixon. We have an obligation to the citizen of Dixon to get the lowest possible bid from a responsible bidder. Further down in that statement, he has, all of the bidding requirements of Chapter 26 are not limited to contracts involving a public project. Compliance with these bidding requirements is also not required for every contract entered into by the city. That's the whole point here, is the city is entering into a contract. They may not be responsible for the payment of it, but they're still entering into a contract. Therefore, Chapter 26 says anything over $10,000 related to a non-professional service, and street sweeping is a non-professional service as opposed to an engineering project or a legal work, you have to take it out to bid. He didn't have, page 6. Towards the bottom it says, without city regulations, the city may grant, amend, or cancel franchises to the extent permitted by state law. Since state law permits the amendment of franchise agreement without bidding, and I want to say that permits, it's another one of those same things. We have choices here that we were not given. At the bottom of that page on page 6, it says, to constitute a gift of public funds, payment of public funds must be made without adequate consideration. To me, that's not exactly accurate. The gift of public funds relates to when you're paying more for a service than you would necessarily have to. To me, if you're giving away money that is unnecessary, that's a gift. Where a project is subject to state and local bidding requirements, there's no gift of public funds when the contract is awarded to the lowest responsible bidder rather than the bidder with the lowest dollar bid. I have really no problem with that, but it simply points out that the lowest responsible bidder, Mr. Vella from Contract Sweeping Services, was awarded a contract, so he was a lowest responsible bidder. You cannot preclude him from participating in this process on the basis that Dixon Sanitary Service is the only responsible bidder. There are a number of firms out there. I was told that there are at least 20 within this area that could bid on these projects. No gift of public funds is possible in such a situation because the city is receiving money from the franchisee rather than giving money to the franchisee. I have a real problem with that also, because just because you're getting a kickback from the franchisee doesn't mean there isn't a gift of the citizens' money to the franchisee. And as I stated, anytime they have to pay more than they would normally have to pay, there's a problem there. Now, since we were talking about policy, is it the city's policy to tax citizens through a franchise fee which simply gives a single company a monopoly on its provided service instead of forcing it to deal with the free market environment of competitive pricing and provide the citizens with nothing additional in return? On top of this, the council has now recommended an additional fee to simply preserve general fund money for other purposes. As I've said in the past, and as was asked at numerous candidates forum, whose money is the general fund? As 80% of the money is used for salaries and benefits, and this action is being used to free up money to buttress up the same, the answer is obvious who is going to benefit from this action. The public contract code that Mr. Dean detailed in his brief specifically gives the reasons for using competitive bidding. We have a situation where NorCal Industries and 2 of its managers have directly given contributions to the mayor's past 2 campaigns for public office. There is nothing wrong with them doing this until it comes down to a vote to benefit the company. At the least, the mayor should have recused himself from voting on this subject because of the appearance of impropriety, not because this can be proven, but just because it doesn't pass the smell test. The allegation is exactly to what the code is referring as a potential outcome. There is a push here to go in only one direction once again. I read in the Vacaville paper that Mr. Matheson says there is no way to bill for this service. As billing for water and sewer is being handled by an outside company, West America Bank, I assume that a simple line item could be added to everyone's sewer bill in like manner to fund this service. These are not fees that go up and down. This is a simple one-time number that's established and added in a line. How much cost is there to doing that? The arguments against reconsideration is likewise illusory. As Mr. Dean states, these are only guidelines and apply only to a meeting in which the action occurs. At any subsequent meeting, any council member can ask for a review and an overturn of any action of the current council or a prior council. We are not bound by the past actions of others who may have acted vindictively in a lame duck status. There's nothing in Chapter 26 of our contract code which prohibits the city from going out to bid on any contract with which it burdens its citizens. That's the biggest point of this whole thing. There is nothing that prohibits us from going out to bid. Who and what is the city if it is not its citizens? Have the citizens relieved us of our fiduciary duty to provide service to them at the lowest cost? Have the citizens ever told you they didn't care about entering into contracts or burdening them with higher rates and fees because you have the ability to enter into these contracts? It seems to me the citizens didn't like being forced into recycling and didn't go for your unnecessary tripling of sewer fees. And I guess none of us were on the council when those fees were tripled, so I guess that's a rhetorical pronoun. Why take a chance on litigation which will only take additional money from the general fund? We owe it to the citizens of Dixon to put this contract out to bid, whether we are required to or not. Let's take the high road in this and alleviate any ability to point to impropriety. And with that, I end my statements on this issue. I would.
Okay. Any other comments from the council? Since it is an agenda item, I'll